Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die.
Live and on tape from the Abraham Swerdlow Sanctuary at Shir Me, it's Yontif. And I'm your host, Rabbi Chuck Briskin. I'm here tonight with Cantor Rachel Kohlbrenner and Rabbi Eric Goldberg. So friends, that's what this feels like a bit. But in reality, we're here tonight to celebrate Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah as an online community. So allow me to wish all of you who have tuned in tonight a Shabbat Shalom and a Shana Tovah. Welcome to Shir Me Online for our first ever and God willing last ever totally online and pre-recorded Erev Rosh Hashanah service. These high holy days are unlike any that we've ever experienced. Despite the sadness we feel because we're not able to gather together in person, I am grateful for the technology and expertise that has enabled us to create something different, new, and also familiar. In addition to our more traditional appearing High Holy Days services that will be featured in this live stream format, we've created several additional experiences over the course of these days of awe on Zoom and safely outside in person. We hope you will find our offerings meaningful and enriching, and will help you connect to the power of this day in ways that you haven't before. This Erev Rosh Hashanah service is the only one of our 5 sanctuary services that is completely pre-recorded. The remainder will be streamed live, with our pre-recorded honors inserted at the appropriate moments, God willing. Tonight we've enabled our chat feature, so please let us know that you are here so that we can wish you Shana Tovah. And even though we recorded this service earlier, the 3 of us, the 3 clergy, we are watching on live stream with you tonight because nothing gives us more pleasure than watching ourselves lead, preach, and sing in HD TV. But in all seriousness, we will comment periodically, pose a question, or encourage you to reflect on a theme that emerges through our chat feature. Please note as well that if you are too hot or too cold for this year at least, the power of the thermostat is in your hands, so make yourselves comfortable. And please also remember that video production was not an elective in seminary. And none of us have ever led services to an empty sanctuary before. So this is all new and a bit disorienting as well. So we ask you, please be gentle and forgiving. Our video production is high quality and professional, but it's not intended to be perfect, because we want to create as best as possible some spontaneity and remain our authentic selves. Throughout these days of awe, we will include some of the high points you've come to expect. And because of video fatigue, however, we've shortened our services dramatically. Each is just about an hour. We've created separate Torah service blocks to join after the main service on Zoom. And we'll believe that you will experience the greatest hits of the High Holy Days, knowing full well that something you may really prefer could be missing this year. And again, we apologize in advance and in this season ask for your forgiveness. So while not what we expected, we are excited to share these very different days of awe with you. And we invite you to enter into our sacred online sanctuary together. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tovah. We continue on page 13 for those who have the Machzor at home, or follow along on the screen.
This autumn night, the shades of darkness in the sky are signs of Earth's turning, the fleeting ways of nature.
And we, drawn together in this holy house, filled with New Year's light and hope, turn our hearts toward you in prayer, in worship, seeking life's essence.
In the presence of your love, we feel the nearness of those who bless our lives, even in death. Precious memories of their love restore our strength, renew our faith in life's goodness.
We acknowledge with gratitude the life you have given us, the bounty that sustains us, your comfort in sickness and sorrow, your compassion in valleys of despair.
God of years, God of eternity, bless us now and always. Bless our homes and our families. Be with us in our dreams and in our hopes. Be with us through these days of awe, as we search our souls within and seek the lasting shelter of your love.
We continue on page 15.
Tikeu v'chodesh shofar ba'keseh liyom chageinu ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat leElohei Yaakov.
We turn now to page 19. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in this year 5781. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our hearts be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. We continue now on page 20 as we rise together for Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam v'ed.
At the bottom of page 23. The quickening of the moon calls us to return, and we gather seam dwellers on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks the heart of the firmament, the vast blackness and invitation to write ourselves anew. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, disciplines, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo, Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael. Sure. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto.
Please be seated. We continue on page 28.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך Hayom al levavecha, vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'aderech, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We pray together the words of Hashkivenu, our evening prayer that asks God to protect and guard us through the night so that we can wake up the next day to a place and time of renewal and strength. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. May we lie down this night in safety and in peace. May we wake each day to life and to love. May we wake each day to life and to love. Ufros aleinu sukkot shalom echa. May we spend our days in your sheltering presence, protected from evil, sadness and harm, protected from evil, from danger. Ushmot tzitenu uvoenu. May we journey through life. May we journey through life. Ushmot tzitenu uvoenu. In the shadow of your wings, in the shadow of your wings, O God of compassion, O God of grace, our shield and salvation, both now and forever. O God of compassion, O God of grace, our shield and salvation, both now and forever. Amen. Amen.
We continue with the tefillah on page 42. Page 42. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel teaches, the words of our prayers must not fall off of our lips like dead leaves in the autumn. They must rise like birds out of the heart into the vast expanse of eternity. Please stand if you are able to do so and it is comfortable doing so. We continue together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekanei Hakol, Bezocher Chaste Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava. Zochreinu Lechaim, Melech Hafetz B'chaim, V'kodmenu b'sefer HaChaim, L'mancha Elohim Chaim. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatah. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umidol melech, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua. Micha mocha el rachamim, Zocher Yetzura לחיים ברחמים, בנאמן אתה, להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. When we sanctify God's name, we look for holiness. We sense God's holiness through awe. We sense God's holiness by showing honor and acting with righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelech hakadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, holy, sovereign. We continue on page 57.
This is the season of God. This is the season of our humanity. And this is the day when one word stands at the very center of Jewish prayer, Meloch. 3 Hebrew letters reign over space and time. Meloch, reign over the infinite expanse. Show us your reality. Help us to see our finite place in the cosmos that is our home.
What is God's sovereignty? What is God's rule? It is the rule of unity by which we sense coherence in the universe. It is the power of relationship, relating every image of God to every other image of God, and to every facet of nature. Sunshine and ocean waves, heartbeats, honeybees, the stuff that stars are made of. It is the ultimate power that governs our lives with wisdom, compassion, truth, and kindness. In this season of God, may we breathe new life into the ancient name, Melech HaOlam, and may the ruler of the universe breathe new life into each of us.
We invite you to please pray silently and to also be guided and moved by the composition of Ritzeh by Cantor Stephen Richards, sung beautifully by our choir with our recording from last year's High Holy Days. Please pray silently.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehi
We continue on page 245 if you have the Machzor, or simply follow on the screen, with the Mishaberach L'Refuah, a prayer for healing. As we think of those in our lives who are in need of God's healing presence of body or mind or spirit. This year especially, we pray for those who continue to battle COVID-19, continue to recover from it, or who continue to feel the pain and loss from those who have died from this terrible disease. We'll sing together in a moment, but I invite you to please use the chat box function to type in the names of those for whom you are praying tonight as we enter into this year.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue with Avinu Malkeinu, page 75. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu, though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers, and we have no great liking for absolute power.
Akiva stood before you in a time of drought, and his words went up like a flame on the altar. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us. He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered.
Tonight we speak again in a time of drought, dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock. Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice. For the sea of faith is all but gone, the tide's gone out on the empty beach.
The world mocks our hopes and life tests our courage. Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent? And if your dominion is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain?
Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls, send rain to our roots, help us find a way to pray. Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another. Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words, help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth.
100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like a flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you.
We continue on page 77. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olalenu V'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever V'cherev V'ra'av Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu Chanenu Ve'anenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim. Asei Imanu Tzedaka V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu, Ki Ein Banu Masim. Asei Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed. Asei Imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vaneinu, Ki Ein Banu Masim.
Shabbat Shalom. Ted Templeman is not a household name, but he should be. And no, he didn't play point guard for the Sixers. Ted Templeman was the music producer of his day. From Linda Ronstadt to Van Morrison to the Doobie Brothers, he was behind the glass, making sure everything sounded just right for that artist hoping to make their next gold record. In his memoir, A Platinum Producer's Life in Music, Templeman recounts getting a call from Marshall Burrell of the famed William Morris Agency, who he hadn't heard from in a while, but as Templeman writes, was an old friend. And Marshall booked the Beach Boys, so I knew he had an eye and ear for young musical talent. Burrell proceeded to tell Templeman about an amazing unsigned band playing the famed Starwood nightclub in Los Angeles. The band was led by two brothers, one who hammered away at the drums, and the other a guitar virtuoso. As Templeman writes, quote, "That was the first time I had ever heard the name Van Halen." I know, whoever thought a Rosh Hashanah sermon would include Van Halen? Needless to say, after hearing Van Halen live, Templeman wanted to sign them and produce their first album. There was just one issue. The Van Halen brothers were electrifying on drums and guitar. Michael Anthony, the bass player, kept a solid beat, and his backing vocals defined the Van Halen sound. But the singer, oy. In Templeman's view, David Lee Roth didn't have the skills for a band this talented, leading Templeman to ask himself, what am I going to do if we sign them and the singer can't hold up his end of the bargain? After much thought and deliberation, even a brief stint looking for another singer, Templeman ultimately forged on with David Lee Roth as the singer of Van Halen. The recording of the album went smoothly, for the most part. The band sounded great, but as Templeman noted, I needed to do triage on Dave's vocals. Dave certainly had his positives, but more often than not, Templeman and his co-producer were left asking themselves the question, are you going to keep that take? As the record was nearing completion, Templeman had become obsessed with, quote, getting everything right on Van Halen's first album. In fact, he writes, I started to feel guilty that summer, spending more waking hours thinking about Van Halen than I was about other projects I had committed to. And in that moment, Templeman had an epiphany. He writes, eventually I realized the album's imperfections weren't really flaws. Those imperfections are what made Van Halen a great band. So I wanted it to be perfect, but you know what? It didn't need to be a pristine performance. Think about that. What makes something great is, in fact, its imperfections. What makes something pristine is precisely that it is not pristine. I don't need to tell you that 2020 hasn't been anyone's perfect year, and I'm confident that none of us would refer to the last 6 months as a pristine performance. Let's be honest. Like Ted Templeman said, we want things to be perfect. We prefer order. We enjoy routine. We like our same drink at Starbucks, the same sandwich at our favorite restaurant, the same route to work, and the same guy playing third base season after season. In many ways, Judaism is defined by order too. Our prayer book is called a siddur, meaning order or arrangement, with prayers said in a way that the rabbis felt evoked certain feelings and reminded us of principles, ethics, and values inherent to living a Jewish life. On Friday night, we have Kabbalat Shabbat, a series of psalms and biblical texts designed to prepare us, put us in the right mindset, and get us ordered to welcome the Shabbat bride. Our celebration of Passover would not be complete without a Seder, the steps of which are in a certain order to teach certain lessons. A reminder that we were once slaves and are now free. An arrangement of stories, prayers, and dreams that end with the words, L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, forever linking us to our home in the East. There are countless examples of order in Judaism, and that order brought our ancestors comfort and calm in challenging times. And that order brings us comfort and calm in times like these. But Jewish tradition, at the same time, acknowledges that life and our world are imperfect, that things are not pristine. And that acknowledgement begins, well, at the beginning. In Genesis 1:26, we read, and God said, let us make Adam in our image, after our likeness. This verse struck the rabbis as strange. Let us make Adam in our image, after our likeness? What's this us and our? Didn't God alone create human beings? Well, the Midrash provides one answer. When the time came for God to create human beings, the angels broke into two camps, one group in favor, the other opposed. The angel of kindness said, create them, for they will do acts of loving kindness. But the angel of truth retorted, do not create them, for they will be full of lies. The angel of righteousness said, create them, for they will establish justice. But the angel of peace said, do not create them, for they will be in constant battle against each other. While the angels were debating, God created Adam, knowing full well the imperfections of human beings, and turned to the angels saying, what are you arguing about? Humans have already been created. God created us knowing that we are imperfect, that we are by our very nature not pristine, knowing that there is much good in us, that we have the ability to engage in acts of loving kindness and establish justice, but also knowing that human beings will lie and battle against each other. We are not perfect, and neither is our world. And like that Van Halen album, these imperfections are precisely what make human beings and the world we inhabit great. As Jews, we must accept our destiny. God created us as imperfect beings and gave us this not-so-pristine world. And in accepting our fate, we must also accept the challenge that comes with it, to make the world and ourselves better, to bring about a time when peace and love will reign, when hunger and poverty and war will be a thing of the past, when lies and fighting will give ways to acts of loving kindness, and justice will be established for all. And I would posit that 5781 is the perfect year for us to make that happen. Our quest begins with two simple words that have guided the life of a nice Jewish boy from Queens. You may not know Shep Gordon, but you know who Shep Gordon has worked with. A famed music and culinary agent, Gordon has represented everyone from Frankie Valli, the Pointer Sisters, and Alice Cooper, to Charlie Trotter, Wolfgang Puck, and Emeril Lagasse. In his memoir, They Call Me Supermensch, he writes, "As I wrote this book, I looked for some common threads linking the events in my apparently accidental life. Two simple words came up over and over again. Thank you. I wake up in the morning and say thank you. I say it again when I go to sleep at night and countless times in between. I've been doing it for decades, and it always makes me feel good. To me, life is a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm here, no matter what kind of day I'm having. It's a miracle that I have this extraordinarily complex body that can feel both pleasure and pain. It's a miracle that I have this amazingly complex brain that's capable of both joy and sadness. When I'm feeling lonely or sad or confused, it's a miracle I'm even here to feel lonely or sad or confused. I'm so happy that I can feel sad." Little did Shep Gordon know that his words echo our great rabbis, who teach that each morning when our eyes open for the first time, we are to recite the words, "Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha." Thankful am I before you, God, that you have returned my soul to me in mercy. Great is your faith. While Modeh ani is best translated as thankful I am, it's grammatically strange. It would be better to say ani modeh, I am thankful. But this construction is no mistake. Why Modeh ani and not ani modeh? Because for the rabbis, the first word out of our mouth each morning should not be I or me. It should be thanks. It's a mindset. If we begin the day saying I or me, our minds will be focused on ourselves all day. We will only think of our own personal needs, wants, and how things affect us. But beginning with modeh, with thanks, implores us to be thankful for what surrounds us to each day, to not take anything for granted, from our breathing to the love of the people who surround us, to protect that which has been entrusted to us, from our physical body to our children, to those who are oppressed and have no voice, to accept the challenges that we see in our community and this beautiful world which we inhabit. And ultimately, to be thankful we have been given the challenge, the opportunity, the fate to change ourselves and the world. Dedicating ourselves to understanding that this world and we as individuals are imperfect, and that we are challenged to make things better, is found in two Hebrew words, Modeh ani. Even as the world swirls around us in ways we could not imagine, Modeh ani. When stress and uncertainty enters our daily life, Modeh ani. Modeh ani, thankful are we to have the ability to awake each day and feel sadness and disappointment, and pain. Modeh ani, thankful we are to have breath in our lungs, love in our hearts, the capacity to think, and the chance to laugh, the true miracles of life. Modeh ani, thankful we should be for wonder and curiosity and trying to understand that which seems incomprehensible. Modeh ani, thankful we are to be surrounded by friends, family, pets, the people we pass on our morning walk, the cashier at the supermarket. Modeh ani, thankful am I that I have been given the responsibility to look out for the well-being of others, the honor of being a son, the joy of being a husband, and the gift of being a dad. Modeh ani, thankful am I that I have been entrusted to care for and better this imperfect world, this place that I know is not pristine. This evening, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and every single day this year, Modeh ani. Welcome to 5781, a year unlike any other. The truth is, I don't know where things are headed, but I do know it will be imperfect and there will be disorder. I also know 5781 does not need to be a pristine performance. But I believe in my heart of hearts that this year is just the right amount of imperfectly perfect to take on the challenge and responsibility to embrace our destiny of making ourselves and the world the way we dream it to be. And I know it all begins with two words that fuel a mindset: Modeh ani. So what are we waiting for? Shana Tova.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm John Stevens, president of Shirami, and to our members, families, and guests, good Yontif. And I wish you a happy, sweet, and healthy 5781, and gratefully say farewell to 5780, with the opportunities, challenges, and unprecedented events it has brought all of us. I'm speaking to you from our nearly empty sanctuary this Erev Rosh Hashanah, and it saddens me. Sitting on the bima is a presidential honor and joy. It provides a view of everyone, and I know that view was now my personal 3D Zoom screen, without a chat and a mute button, which some of you may be reaching for right now. I saw everyone present making services a very special part of my week. Our Zoom services give everyone the president's view, having the ability to see, greet, kibitz, and schmooze. Many have shared with me that Zooming is, quote, surprisingly intimate and special. And our Zoom breakouts addressing the rabbi's 100 questions or so end with a touch of sadness when the countdown wraps up our energetic discussions. Lighting candles, sipping wine, blessing fresh-baked halot as one, families sharing Shabbat dinner and services as one, the chat box scrolling with names in need of refuah shlema, and mourners reciting Kaddish as one have become for me powerful, now familiar rhythms for me. I appreciate now that our spiritual home, although here, resides in each of us. Speaking of safe return to our sanctuary and building, I'm deeply grateful for the work of the Shir Open Task Force and their subcommittees. Sherry Becknaman and her ELC committee's dedication has our ELC open in ensuring the safety and well-being of our teachers, their students, and our families. Our religious school is up and running, outdoors and online. Our kids continuing their education safely. Thank you, Rabbi Eric Goldberg, not only for teaching us from the sage Van Halen about the benefits of imperfection and thankfulness, but also your leadership with Stephanie Kravitz and the Learning Task Force in re-envisioning our religious school and your faculty for making it a reality. Thanks to our Ritual Life Task Force work, Ivy Perlstein, Alan Scheinberg, Deb Gates-Matten, Susan Famelant, Michael Smolin, and led by Debbie Rosenthal and Ellen Rawitz, together with Rabbi Briskin, Cantor Kolbrenner, and Rabbi Goldberg, and Phil Nordlinger, they've adjusted our Bar Mitzvah logistics, facilitated all of our online summer services, and planned these meaningful High Holy Day experiences for 5781. They embrace cherished traditions and seize creative opportunities to innovate moving experiences and spiritual growth for these unique high holy days. Thank you to everyone involved. We are blessed with such a talented community. Our Shir Open Task Force continues its efforts to reopen our building. We're learning ways to live safely with the virus while we await proven vaccines and therapeutics. Phil Nordlinger and the building committee is specifying facility upgrades and procedures for us to gather and enable those to participate when they are unable to do so in person. This means upgrades to our HVAC, sanctuary live streaming, and signage. Our Jewish values of Pikuach Nefesh, saving a life, Lifnei Iver, do not cause others to stumble, and Kol Yisrael Aravim Ze Bahazeh, we are responsible for one another, guide all of our decision making. It has been wonderful through the pandemic to hear from nearly all of you, how can I help? Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And why don't we try? True spirit of sustaining and a growing community. Daily, the news reports increase the need for our efforts to heal the world. Thanks to your generosity, our food pantry, and to Marilyn Halprin and Susan Lucho for leading our volunteers in touchless curbside distribution. This Sunday, Sep Barberco and team kick off our High Holy Day food drive. Come and fill our awaiting bins generously so we can empty them quickly, refilling the need in Bucks and Mercer County. Please sign up online to help us sort all our donations along the way. I guarantee you, Ellen Short and the entire Tikkun Olam Committee have a fall full of actively pursuing racial, environmental, and voting rights justice for us all. I, the board, our clergy, and shul staff look forward to greeting you as we have for the past 11 years at the Oneg, immediately following this service. Becky Markowitz is the driving force behind maintaining this tradition. Tomorrow, young families are reminded of our service at 9:30 in our Zoom room. You'll find our virtual choir and our streamlined morning service starting at 10:30 on the Shirami website. Our spiritual home indeed resides within each of us, but as we gather again soon, our community will be more sustainable and ever growing. L'Shana Tova, Umitu Ka, a happy, sweet, and healthy 5781 to you and your family.
We continue on page 87, Life After Death. These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one. And the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks. And the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring the rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. On the screen, you will see the names of those for whom we are observing Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, or Shiloshim, the first 30 days of remembrance, or those for whom we are observing a Yortzeit next week, those who have died at this season in years past. Zichronam livracham, may the memories of all of our beloved and righteous ones be for a blessing. We join together in reciting Kadisha Tom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 90. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'vyomei chon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Nehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen.
As we conclude our service, we're very grateful to Nicole Firestone for compiling all of these voices together as one, and for including these photographs of our community, enjoying times together and fun and celebration as family. So we conclude our service with a new year.
May this be a year of love and kindness.
May strangers come to be friends.
May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen.
May this be a year of hope and healing
for all of those in need.
May all of our deeds be a blessing.
Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. May this be a year of selfless giving.
May this be a year of peace.
And may we forgive and be forgiven. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer.
Closer to the ones we love.
A world that we can be proud of.
As long as there are stars above, there comes a new year.
L'shana tova tikatevu. May it be a good and sweet year for you and for all of your loved ones. Shana tova.